Let's get cracking with, of course, tonight's feature match, which took us to the Nkoloma Stadium, where Red Arrows were taking on the Red Machine from Musakile, that's Nkana Football Club. Let's have a look at the two selections that were chosen by Ona Janza and Beston Chambeshi. So both teams went 4-4-2 for this one. For Nkana in orange, Waterwali and Renaud Sate Kampamba leading the line, whilst we had the midfield four of Shadrack Msonda, Nguluve, Yannick Mlenda, and Sutra Shmenga. For Red Arrows, they went 4-4-2 with Luwinda Mundia playing the number 8 role, whilst Evans Msonda and Festus Mbewe led the line. In the wide areas, we had Bruce Msakanya wearing shirt number 10 and jersey number 17. That is Stanley Nshimbi. Gentlemen, that was the call that was made by both teams. And of course, both coaches, I don't know whether they cancelled each other out. They usually go 4-3-3, but for this one, both went 4-4-2.
Yeah, interesting selections for both coaches. I think the game was very interesting. The front line, all very intelligent players. It was unfortunate for Red Arrows, but I thought the selection was to the point.
All right, so Vespa, let's just get into the nitty-gritties. Now, it was Sate for Nkana starting with Waterwalia. We know what happened even in the Kite Derby. That combination, very important. How worried do you think the Red Arrows rank and far were ahead of this game?
Yeah, I think you could see even for Janza, I think to change his system from 4-3-3 to 4-4-2 Zite. I'm sure he saw how Kana would come into attack with Sate and the Waterwalia there in front.
Alright, so let's get cracking with the tactical details of the game that was played at the Nkoloma Stadium on Saturday afternoon. So let's have a look at Red Arrows in attack, the home side, of course, that of course for for a lot of reasons. Of course, they usually wear other colors. They wear white, but this time they chose to wear red. So let's just have a look at the Red Arrows attack. So Red Arrows in red and Nkana in orange. So when attacking, you'd actually have Luwinda Mundia, the number 8, actually providing the spearhead of attack when they play out from the back, and they would finally wriggle their way. Now with Nkana doing a media press, meaning eliminating Waterwalia and Sate, and to a large extent Sutra Shimenga was relatively very easy. But I just want to bring into question the arrangement of players once they get into the Nkana half. Look at those 3 players on the right hand side of your screen. You've got Joseph Zimba, you've got Stanley Nshimbi wearing 17, and Evans Msonda wearing 12 right there. So a lot of options right there, and Yannick Mlenda is trying to balance and be right in the middle. On the other side, of course, Nguluve is closing the line of pass. That's why maybe we didn't see a lot of Bruce Msakanya coming there. But right there, you'll notice that the attacking 4 for Red Arrows, the 2 central strikers and the wingers, are actually coming relatively short. Right there, Luwinda Mundia doesn't have the option of maybe floating the ball into the 18 and probably affecting the game in that respect, Dennis.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest problem. I saw Festus and Evans. They were all going short. No one was making that run. You know, when one striker, one makes a short run, the other one at least makes a run to go into the penalty area there, so that he could have 2 options, either to play short or to play the running man. But it wasn't happening. They were all standing like square, which was a big problem.
So now, talking about Festus, ideally we want to think of him as a target man, but yeah, he's coming a little short. But for all its worth, in terms of ball possession, they'll play out nicely and just get to that final third and capitulate, Vespa.
Yeah, for this game, I think Zite, the way I saw him, he tried compared to some games which I think he was put as a starter. Zite, I think if he can continue the way he played, I'm sure even in the first half we could see whereby he was holding on to the ball, giving space also to his colleagues to support him, so that he can try to maybe make a 1-2 for him to have a space of shooting on the goal. But I'm sure for the coach, he saw that he had no space for him most of the times of shooting. Most of the time you could see him, he has the ball, he would maybe try to find where Bruce Msakanya is, Evans, where is Evans, and the support, most of the support was being delayed. I'm sure you could see, maybe it's because of the way Evans was touching the ball. Most of his game, you could see he had very good touches, like Evans. Yes, he's too young, but I think at the end you could see that he got tired, maybe because he had no support, someone to come in also maybe to give him support.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking perhaps they needed more depth as they went forward, just someone to spearhead that attack, and perhaps that was the problem. But it was a decent day at the office for the man wearing shirt number 8 for Red Arrows. His name is Luvinda Mundia. Let's just have a look at his touch map, because he was playing the box-to-box midfielder role with Evans Msonda and of course Festus Mbe going forward. But look at how much he works for a team that's playing out most of his activity in the opponent's half. But yes, even in his own half, if they needed to condense the attack or the defense, he would actually be there and be involved in the game. The ball would come from the back line of Charles Ingwa, Bronson Chama, Jimmy Tsenga and Joliba, and get into the midfield line, bring in Simbayamba, and Mundia was very much taking part in that respect. I used to doubt this man as a number 8, but for all it's worth, and he's not a young man, he's not the youngest of men on the pitch, decent work rate.
Yeah, I think his mobility is excellent. Even when you watch him, when he's playing as a second striker, you will see him, he will be all over. He will be looking for the ball here and there. Very good. I think he did very well playing as a number 8, because he was everywhere, helping out, helping Simbayambaya. He would go, Simbayambaya goes to look for the ball the other side, he will go the other side as well, which was very good for Red Arrows.
Wow, good for Red Arrows, but I'm just thinking, just for them to lack that panache, and probably it comes back to one cardinal thing. If Festus Mbewe and Evans Msonda are coming short or are standing square, you're not leaving space for Luvinda Mundia to come and affect the game a little bit more in between the lines, where they should be keeping the central defensive pairing for Nkana ideally busy.
Yes, yeah. I think that's where they were lacking now. If one of them or both of them, Msonda, Evans and Festus, were making runs, they were supposed now to be leaving those spaces now for Mundia to come and make those penetrating runs. But they were always stuck just there. But he would go down, look for the ball, come with the ball. They were not making those runs to go in the box, create space for Mundia to come and operate.
I'm very happy the way he's talking about Mundia, because he's my cousin, but the way he's trying to
family matters.
Yes, but looking at Mundia's performance, I think if we talk of course, yes, losses and Kalugales, I think he's the only loss I've seen that he's got the heart, of a striker. In fact, if you've seen, he can play as a attacking number 9. He can play as a midfielder, attacking midfielder. So he's a complete player who I think in future that boy can take us somewhere. But looking at the way he played with Nkana, yes, he was coming in most of the times. If you see most of his games, he's a player who likes shooting on the goal. I think he has scored, if not 8 goals or so, because of his hard working Zite. But I could see was I think he was also trying to pull his leg. I saw he had something, I don't know whether it's a muscle,
hamstring.
Yeah, something like that. But he's a boy who can at least change the game, and he pushed on. You could see that at least he tried for his team that they can at least maybe get a goal, which I'm sure they managed to get it after they made some changes.
Yeah, so perhaps right there, only heaven knows, probably from a Red Arrows perspective, why all that work ethic on the part of Lubendamdia coming from deep, stringing the attack and joining in, like becoming the second, third man runner into those areas didn't yield any fruits. But perhaps it's that lack of penetration of trying to get into the 18 that was there and doing on that particular day. So let's have a look at what the Red Machine Nkana was doing on this particular day. So Nkana transitioned into attack, because most of the times they would actually populate the back and populate the midfield. They would actually have two banks of four behind the ball. But here's what happens. You'd have, and on average, most of the players would be centrally compact, and they would have numbers behind the ball. But immediately Nkana win the ball, they would actually play it into Sate, who was coming very deep to come and collect and leave water right there. But right there, in terms of the accountability question, is that when Sate comes deep, who's actually supposed to track him? Especially if you look at the role that George Simba, the number 18, is supposed to play. He probably needs to screen and ensure that the ball doesn't easily get to water. Okay? So who actually gets Sate right there? Because Lubendamdia has gone to try to probably provide that support. So he's the second man in midfield. Sate has come short. And yes, perhaps that's the problem right there that Red Arrows had. Failure to manage Sate's movement.
Yeah, I think Coach Chambeshi worked on that, because I've played against Red Arrows, I think, several times. They are very good in the midfield. And the plan that Nkana came with was to close the midfield, compact the midfield, so that Red Arrows won't have that space to play. But to my surprise, Coach Jaza also changed the system of play from the usual 4-3-3 to the 4-4-2. Which meant that Simba most of the time he was alone, and most of the times it was 2v1, him against two Nkana midfielders, which was easy for Nkana, which meant that Sate was always free. All the time when he dropped down, the other players for Arrows were either wide or up the field, leaving Sate alone to receive the ball.
But I'm just thinking right there, probably Red Arrows would be disappointed that when they had the ball, they didn't create defensive work for Sate to do as the second striker. You'd have Ngulube and Yannick Mlenda winning the battles there. Even when the two central strikers are coming short, okay, the Nkana defense line just needs to move up a little bit, and they're just being outnumbered. They just didn't really find that space to probably claw a way back into the game.
Yes, Zita, you could see Sate, yes, coming deep into the center circle somewhere there. The Red Arrows had a lot of spaces. Evans Musonda was not dropping deep like trying to close the gaps. Sometimes you find that's where you find the coaches maybe even changing the system. Zite, it's because of maybe the behavior of a player whom maybe can't manage to run from his position, maybe attacking position to a defensive position. Like it happened for Red Arrows. They were leaving a lot of room in the midfield, whereby if Sate is not dropping to come and get the balls from the center, you find even Water Warrior, you also come to collect the balls from there. They were trying to attract the defenders to move from defense, maybe try to move them in near the center circle, where I've if you saw, they also tried to play long balls, where maybe to try and see if they can try and pass the defense of Red Arrows, which maybe sometimes they think being huge, like their captain, you think, no, we maybe just pass him by using the speed, which works for Nkana sometimes. Zite, if you've seen some of their goals they've scored, they are very fast in the double passing from the mid, especially when they come to drop, get the balls. Sate the way he was doing it. I'm sure it took time for Ona and his colleagues to see that Sate most of the times he was
yes, in transition free.
Yes.
Defensively not doing any work, but didn't need to. But
Yes.
let's just have a look at that advanced attack for Nkana, because it further tells the story about the challenges that Red Arrows had to deal with. So let's just have a look at Nkana's advanced attack. Now, once they get the ball there, the speed of the movement is that you'd find Bruce Msakanya, Stanley Shimbi, Evans Msonda, Festus Mbewa, and Luwinda Mdia would be left behind by the speed of the attack. And guess what? Here's what happens. It's Sate, the number 9, versus the number 17 in Ngurube, and Shadrack Msonda there against one man, who? George Simbayambai. And right there, you tend to think now it's about not only recovering, but recovering on time or recovering in time, especially for the wide players who, well, perhaps if they drop a little bit quicker, they would reduce the amount of work that their colleagues have to do at the back to win the ball back.
Yeah, I think the recovery rate was very, very poor, but most of the times that I've watched Red Arrows, it's not the wingers, the wing midfielders who drops too much, but the second striker and the attacking midfielder was the number 8. Who, for that game, it's Mundia was playing that role. But I thought they were too slow to get back into position in transition when they are supposed to defend. I think Musonda didn't do a very good job. Dropping down, he didn't manage. He didn't play it as well as when they have maybe Sivanda playing there or Mundia, when he's the one who's playing that position as a number 10.
Yeah, so perhaps it's one of those, and of course Red Arrows managed to ring the changes. So let's talk about Sate, shall we? Let's look at Sate's touch map in this game and further concretize the conversation we're having about the lethal Nkana number 9. Now, in the first half, the conventional balls depict his touch map in the first half. In the second half, the strike balls. But generally, he was just coming as far as the center circle just to collect and be a spoiler, be a party pooper. And perhaps this is one part about Sate's game that many people actually, and many tacticians actually, have said Sate defensively, he probably needs to work more. Yes, he's a lethal person when you get him in the box, but he is a number 10, not a 9. So a number 10 may need to have some defensive chores, or he needs that insurance. But that was his work ethic. In his own half, only having one touch of the ball in his own half.
Yeah, I think
which should be okay. I mean, you're Sate.
Yeah, he's Sate. Defensively is not good. Giving the ball in the box, he'll do the job for you. But at least he's good. He'll drop down a bit. You only see him when they have the ball. Without the ball, they'll play. But they didn't make him work. I thought Red Arrows didn't make him work more defensively.
Could this explain the absence of the great Sate at national team level? Because I'm just thinking at international football, you're a 10. You probably need to put in a bigger shift defensively.
He's even the former professional player, Zite. Not only as he is being called as a national team player, but if you look at his input in Nkana's the team this time, you can see that there is a change. Yes, that Sate we used to know, but sometimes you also look at the coaches Nkana had changed from maybe the Sate we knew. You know, Sate we knew him as a top scorer. We knew him as a player who, if he's in the 18 area, is a danger man, Zite. But you know, some of these systems we bring in, you find that they wrong positioning. He's in a wrong position whereby for him even to reach the 18 and score the way he used to score is maybe difficult for him.
So tactically, how do you play with Sate and giving him the freedom? Yes, you want him to get goals, you want him to use the fuel in an attacking sense, but in the central areas where the biggest spaces are, you probably need someone to close in for him. Now, I'm just thinking, on average, Nkana hardly play with two defensive midfielders. So it's Yannick Mlenda and you play Donashano Malama and the like. But right there, it brings up a fundamental question. How come we have failed to get someone to cover for Sate? Because when you get someone to cover for him, he'll definitely give you what you want going forward. But tactically, that's, of course, a very big challenge.
Yeah, speaking about Sate, I think I remember one game where Mbesuma did very well for Zambia defensively. I think that was again the game against, was it Kenya?
Yes.
Against Wanyama, Vincent Wanyama.
Yes.
Yeah, Mbesuma played the number 10.
You track and stop
He
Wanyama
was
from playing.
tracking and going forward. But in Sate, that one is not there. He can't track and then go forward.
So the national team hasn't been prepared to give Sate that role. Because even Ona Janza himself,
Yeah,
he would play 4-1-4-1 and play Sate as one of the four in midfield.
you see, I think at Nkana they understand him very well. Because you will see Shadrack Msonde. Is it Shadrack Msonde? He will be doing double. He will come inside. When they lose the ball, he will come inside. They win the ball, he goes outside. So Sate, even if Sate is not,
It's like he's playing a free roll.
yeah, a free law is not. But at national level,
You lose the ball, you start walking.
yeah, national level, national level, you know, it's not there. National level, it's not there. National level, you need everyone to work. You raise the alarm.
So how do we get him to work? Because other teams will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Maybe let's put him on his position where he's comfortable with it.
As a
Because
number
you
nine.
know-
As a 10.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking, even with Evans will play 9, Sate will play 10. With Festus Mbewe, Sate will play 10, Festus will play 9.
Yes.
So
Maybe we give him back his normal.
who covers for him? I'm just
I'm
thinking.
comfortable to
You
see,
need to go 3
I'm
at the back.
comfortable to see Sate in front of the number 10.
As a 9.
Yes, as a 9.
Okay.
Maybe for me, maybe if you have two defensive midfielders.
Or you go
maybe-
3 at the back,
Yeah, 3 at the back.
then 5 in the middle.
Yeah, 5 in the middle. Then it will be easy for.
Then the landlord can
Then
play.
the landlord can
Yeah,
maneuver in the.
because he will just be free now.
He'll just be free.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perhaps the biggest dilemma. Probably building a team around Sate, and for all it's worth, if you want to get the best out of him, you probably need to make special reservations in a defensive sense for who is going to cover for him. That's Sate's touch map. But let's also study Nkana's penetration. As a result of that touch map that Sate actually brought to the Nkana game and the Nkana dynamic, if we look at the Nkana penetration, we'll probably see the far-reaching effect of what Sate was actually able to do in this game. So most of the time he comes, he gets the ball, he collects, but when he does that, and for the speed that he has, he's a very quick player. Look at how many the positions that Nkana managed to get to in the final third, Vespa.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yes, Zite. He's a player, you know, me, I enjoy watching Sate whenever he's playing. I think sometimes when he is himself, you find that he enjoys the game, Zite. Because even the way he runs with the ball, you can see that there is a player with a very good experience as a number 9 or number 10. He had a lot of impact on this game, which made Nkana to beat Red Arrows because you could see, I'm sure Ona knows Sate. He's a good player, so I'm sure he had all his times to say you shouldn't give him more space, because you give space, chance a player like Sate Zite, he can destroy your defense. But looking at the way he played for this game, and you could see their attack, he was most of his he was involved in all their movements, and you could see the way they were reaching even in the 18, trying to score, maybe could get a lot of goals. But their attack with him, I think they were comfortable. Even Bafchile could see him having chance at least smiling when they are attacking.
Oh yeah, you mean Beston
Chambeshi.
Chambeshi. May his soul rest in peace. He's a good servant for the land. Oh yeah. Anyway, let's look at the Red Arrows' reaction attack, because actually this proved to be a spanner in the works. So Joseph Zimba was actually an important player to provide width for Nkana, for Red Arrows rather, where they would actually go and probably double team and actually create tactical overloads, especially on the right hand side of Nkana's defense. But here's what happened. So Joseph Zimba gets a yellow card for lashing out. A lot of people where I was sitting were saying that it was probably an unfair call, but that affected the attack for Red Arrows, that they were Jimmy Chisenga had a subdued game at right back. He wasn't going up a little bit as much as you'd love him to go. But here's what happens. Now, we saw a situation because of the speed and what Sate is causing, and how Nkana are coming when they get the ball. The back four for Red Arrows began to sit a little bit. Yes, they would play out, get the ball into George Simbayambaya, but now, all of a sudden, their shape and system becomes a little bit more static. So the ball gets into the number 18, Simbayambaya. By the way, by this time, they've already brought on Daniel Simanda. He gets into central midfield and providing that forward link. However, those forward players now, Red Arrows cannot play with the dynamism they usually play with, where they're able to move play from one side of the pitch to another. They're now beginning to play direct football. And it's working well for Nkana, because any which way, they've got 5 players behind the ball at any given time. The back four and Yannick Mlenda just screening there. And Diego Panene seldom goes forward then.
Yeah, I think you look at the Red Arrows team. I think that tiredness also is there. You know, they've been playing, I think, almost the same team from week 1. You look at Nkana's lineup, I think it's been changing. They've been rotating. Today you will see Simon there, tomorrow you will see Muo, there's Jacob. You see, so the intensity is still there. But for Red Arrows, you will see they will show you like they will play, but you will still see the tiredness. You look at when Daniel Svanda gets
Could
the
this
ball.
be age?
Not really, not really,
no,
because
no
look at this was week 35. I think they've played enough. Svanda's been playing Nshimbi, Bruce, and if they rotate, you will see that there's a change here.
So who do they bring in?
That's the thing now. I think they look like they have a team. On paper they have enough players, yes, but they are playing the same team week in, week out.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's the players themselves, is it? Sometimes, yes, we ask ourselves what is happening. Why are the players not?
Because Red Arrows have only played league matches this year. So they are not like Zanaco, who had Champions League, Barclays Cup. Just played league matches.
Yeah, again it comes to experience again. Red Arrows players, I think the past is it 4 or 5 years they've just been playing league, and they just increased the number of teams in the Premier League. So it's understandable that maybe players can get a little tired.
Okay, for the first time we are playing 38 rounds of matches.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's look at the Red Arrows' penetration in this game, and basically just look at how that game went. 2-1 to Nkana, it finished. But again, that penetration in the 18 was simply not there. First, as Melo managed to get into the 18 ones, almost at the death of the game, and sent his strike off target. But otherwise, Nkana was terminating most of the attacks before they could get into areas of promise.
I think this is what we were talking about. Nkana always at about 5 behind the ball. And the runs that the Red Arrows strikers were making, there was no runs going to the box. No second man or third man running into the box to go and receive that ball. But they were all going short. It was going either short or wide. I'm not surprised to see the statistics.
Yeah, because even if you saw the same, their number 9, he can hold on to the ball, try to wait for his colleagues to join him. For 5 people marking you, Zite, you can't hold on to the ball for
very long.
Of course, they need it also. They want to
score. Anyway, let's just have a look at the remaining fixtures for Nkana as we also look at the log. But let's just have a look at the remaining fixtures first for Nkana before we actually close the season. For Nkana, they will be at home to Green Eagles, then travel to the Shinde Stadium, and they'll be at home to relegated Konkola Blades. Easy.
I can say
9 out of 9.
No.
It's
Not easy, is it?
It's going to be tough against the Green Eagles and Mfulira
even Mfulira Wanderers.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult against Green Eagles and Mfulira Wanderers. Konkola maybe. Yeah.
Let's have a look at the log table and see what that means after all is said and done. So, Zesco United, 69 points, 5 points clear with 3 rounds of matches left. Zanaco, the defending champions, in second place with 64 points. Green Buffaloes also have 64 points. And Nkana have got 62 points. And yes, the rest is history. This past weekend, we bid farewell to Konkola Blades, who were relegated after being beaten by Napsa Stars. So, that's been the situation. And for Konkola Blades, 5 losses on the spin, definitely not a good statistic. The game at the weekend make it 6. It was a bad day at the office. The politics at the top and the bottom of the table. What are your quick thoughts?
I think I'll talk about the bottom, City of Lusaka.
No, City is gone. So yeah, the team that went down is Blades.
Yeah, Blades. This week was Blades City. Now it's Nchanga, and Might. Wow. And they are meeting, I think.
Okay, let's do this. We'll have a good talk about this one. So, just before we get in our first batch of calls, let's just look at one more little thing from that Red Arrows versus Nkana game. It was the defensive chores that Donashano Malama had. And of course, we know him to be a versatile player. He plays in defensive midfield and whatnot. But here's what Red Arrows were able to do. We keep talking about tactical overloads week in, week out. But this one was a little bit strange, where the left winger and the left back were actually double teaming Donashano Malama. And that's when they switch play to the right hand side and bring in Bruce Msakanya, the number 10, to actually play there. Now, in the process of trying to balance, you'd have that tactical overload. But that space in front of Evans Msonda, I'm just thinking Red Arrows could have probably made better use of that space, because it kept on presenting himself in that, of course, Donashano Malama was trying to man-mark in that game.
Yes, if you saw the way Evans Musonda had the difficulties to go through Nkana defense, I'm sure he was getting the balls from the midfield where Donashano Malama was. And I think if you saw Donashano Malama with the way he was moving from the midfield, trying to reach, even making crosses from there, I think Donashano for this game, he had a good game for me, which I'm sure he did all his his work. You could see him in all departments, whereby he can help in defense. He can also try to help in the midfield and into attack. I think we saw him most of the times. Is it trying to make crosses there?
Okay, Dennis, when you look at that one, I'm just thinking Evans didn't get to complete the game, but I'm sure it's something that next time, if a game presents him with such opportunities, because I'm sure the system was working, the attacking plan was working, that space was being created, but just to exploit that space.
Yeah, actually had too much room, especially in front of Donachano. But I thought Donachano did very well. He was so comfortable, so calm, and whenever he won the ball, the power going forward, it was very good. But I thought Evans could have done better, especially that cap, the one which was left there when the ball was on the right, where Bruce Musakanya was. They coming the other side, but I think Evans was lacking confidence, I think.
Yeah, perhaps that can be fixed.